Good morning, everyone. My name is Mr. Hoffbauer, and I'm going to be your instructor for this section of physics. If you see across different sources this class listed as either Phys2000 or Physics 1400, they mean the same thing. The course kind of has two numbers as a glitch. So if you signed up for either, you're in the right place, I promise. It's meant to be 1400, but apparently 2000 is the placeholder number for any new course introduced. So if there's been more than one number floating around, sorry about that. Technical glitch, but you're in the right place. Welcome. I lose my train of thought a lot, so excuse me for a second as I try to find it. Nope, it's gone. So, hope you're all doing well. Welcome. Stay hydrated, which is pretty easy when it's raining for 3 days. So, welcome to physics. I presume for a lot of people this might be your first physics type class. You might not. You probably had something physical science before. I assume I'm under the assumption most people taking this class are doing it as practice for Physics 1500, which will be taking later as probably a requisite for another science major. Is that the general consensus? Mostly nodding in unison, okay. So, this class exists primarily as a sort of safe practice environment to warm you up for the 1500 courses, because we noticed that a lot of people who weren't in the physics department and then came in to take those physics courses were having some trouble with just coming point blank into a bunch of physics algebra and math. So this is a physics class. I'm going to be coming at it from a physics perspective, but one of our primary goals is going to be math practice, looking at the methods and techniques that will be used in other physics and other science courses in general sometimes, so that you are more prepared for those courses. I still like to talk about physics. I'm going to tell you, what sorts of things these are useful for, and I encourage you to ask physics type questions, even if we're focusing on, say, logarithms in a specific week. I still encourage you to ask science questions, because I like talking about it, and I just want to share that information, because I think it's more interesting than just number crunching all day. So, a couple minor notes before we begin today. One, looks like everyone's already figured this one out. The seats marked with an X are designated as not to be sat in, so that everyone is spaced evenly apart. Again, you've got that part, so no big deal there. Just make sure we're going to follow all the proper safety precautions in here. 6 feet apart. Masks. I forgot the word for mask for a second. I'm not an English major. And in general, it's also, this is not going to be a very large class in terms of people, I assume, just number of people. It's also all right for you to spread yourselves out around the room and get more comfortable. This is just the classroom we have for the course, and I don't like the inconsistency of the writing. So, additionally, if this has been an issue for anyone in your scheduling, this class does officially meet only 2 times a week. We're using got my own schedule for a second there. This class uses the F time slot, which is normally a Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m., but we will only be meeting the Wednesday and the Friday. So you never have to come here on a Monday, which I certainly appreciate, because that's my day to sleep in. I feel most people need their Monday to sleep in. Additionally, so this is the F section. There's also a G section of this class that also meets like the same number of days a week. It's still just the Wednesday, Friday. it's the time slot directly after this one. So this is F, which will meet Wednesday, Friday at 11. The G section meets Wednesday, Friday at 12. I'm telling you this section exists, A, so that you know there are other students in the same class learning the same thing. If you have friends in there, I encourage you to work together on assignments, because the homework specifically is designed to be done together. Because if you work together as a team, it helps you all figure it out and overcome the challenges of the group, and that helps you remember it later. Additionally, if for your scheduling purposes or preferences, the G period class is better for you, I encourage you to be able to switch into it if you need to. We're trying to spread the awareness of this class, and encourage more people to take it before they take other harder physics and science classes. So if a lot of you are, say, bio and chem majors, I encourage you to inform people of this class, try to get them to, encourage them to take it as well. And again, if you or they need the G period class, please do consider registering for that one. Any questions before I continue? Okay. Today is going to be a lot of the same fun, boring logistical information you always get in that first week of class. I do apologize for that, but this is a new course, and I still need to make sure that I present all of that information to you. So, this is going to be treated as a physics class. Physics is very important because you live in a universe that runs on the laws of physics. And no matter what you end up doing with your career, even if you're working in science or not, you're going to live in the universe that physics operates in. So it helps you to know it. It has applications in everything. And so does this math. You might not think it, but because yeah, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. Just physics algebra might not seem to have the most immediate applications, but when you understand it, some other things that you will encounter in your day-to-day life start to make more sense, on top of just the physics itself. And my goal is eventually with you guys, because I'll probably be teaching these sections of 1500 and 1510 that you might end up taking later. My goal is to, across all of the physics classes you may end up taking here at BC, help you understand the physics you already know. Because even if you haven't been doing the math yourself, even if you haven't been using the terms that physicists use, you've been observing all of this stuff your whole lives. All of the formulas, all the equations, they all relate to real things and interactions that you've seen before. So it's in your subconscious. I'm just going to help you realize that and draw it out and use it. That is my goal and the way that I like to teach physics specifically. Now, general tips for really any science class, but especially ones that I teach: do not panic. Panic is the enemy in pretty much most situations, because if you convince yourself you can't do it and you start hyperventilating, everything just goes downhill from there. Don't panic. If something is hard, that's okay, because physics is hard and upper level algebra is hard. It's okay if you have trouble with it, because it's inherently not really an easy thing. But that doesn't mean you won't get it. You're in this class to make sure you do get it by the time you take the more involved physics lab courses. So you already care enough and are invested enough in it. That's a good thing. And I know that my job with you guys is to get you through this and your other physics classes. And I intend to do my job. I'm promising you that between this and any other physics courses you take with me at the school, I am going to make it as an effective and beneficial environment for you guys as possible, so you can succeed, not panic, and be able to do your work. General advice: do every question of every assignment, please, because the only way to not get points on it is to leave it blank. In every class I teach, I grade, and pretty much all of the physics professors here, and probably most of the professors in general in math and science courses, grade for partial credit. So the only way to ensure you get a 0 on anything is to leave it blank. Put anything. Start rearranging, since this is mostly going to be math-based, just write the formula, write the equation down, and start rearranging things. As long as there's something there, it'll be worth points because it's not nothing, and it might jumpstart your process. I've found that looking at a blank sheet of paper is super discouraging. As soon as there's anything on it, the rest comes a lot more naturally. So please try every question. I want to give you partial credit. Even a written answer of why you think it's confusing is technically better than no answer. A smiley face is better than no answer in my book. That will get you at least 1 point out of 10 instead of 0 out of 10. I've given points because someone wrote a script of the B movie once. And please ask questions. People are going to be confused in this class. They'll be confused in all science and math classes. I know because I've taken all of them, and I was confused all the time. I'm a physics major, and this stuff still gets me stuck occasionally. So ask your questions, please, and I want you to ask them as soon as you have them. If we're talking in class, and I'm going through an example, and I do something that just does not make any sense to you, I want you to stop me right then and there so that I can clear it up for you. Because if you don't, you're still going to be confused when I add something else on top of it, and it's just going to snowball from there. And odds are someone else is thinking the same thing. There's probably multiple people thinking, I don't get that, but I don't want to interrupt him. Please interrupt me. I am asking you to interrupt me. You can also email me. My email address will be on the syllabus, and I'll show it on screen in a second. Send me your questions anytime, any format. The only reason I won't answer your emails as quickly as I can is if I'm driving or asleep. Some people, through no fault of their own, I've had professors whose inboxes are just swamps that nothing gets out of. I am actively making attempts to not do that. Communication is very important, especially these days, given that we might end up switching to online randomly if things escalate. So, ask questions and get used to sending them through email if you have them, okay? Now, we're going to talk about the syllabus because everyone has to. I feel if I'm not literally contractually obligated to do it, I still need to anyway. But before we do, hi, I'm a human being and I'm kind of a big goofball, and I, as a result, would rather this be a not miserable experience for you guys, because if you're taking this course because you're majoring in something else, you might not inherently be interested in math or physics itself. And so I'm just a guy who likes talking about this stuff, and I want to make that as enjoyable for you as I can. One of the things that I like about PC and liked when I was a student is that I got to know my classmates and my professors. They felt like real people, and we were able to interact in a meaningful way that helped each other. It helped me understand what my professor was doing and why. It helped the professor understand what I was having problems with and how to better help me. It's kind of harder to connect and communicate with people these days just because of the limitations we're going through. There's a decent chance I might never see any of you from the cheekbones down, which is sad, but I want to at least try to nurture that kind of environment in the ways that I can. So I find helping with that is to remind people that I'm a big dweeb, and I want to laugh and enjoy myself with as much as I can in this class. Some technical details up top. I was actually a student at this school, and I took my physics classes where you're sitting, looking at this same wall. And when they did the renovations and I toured the school afterwards, I was incredibly disoriented because this building specifically is disorienting me still at times because I never explored the upper floors. I'm stuck down here on physics level most of the time. But I graduated from here in 2014 with a major in physics and a minor in math, and then I did 2 years at App State, a master's in engineering physics, and that's when I started teaching for actual money, working as a teaching assistant. And that kind of put the bug in me, because after that I went to work an engineering job, and every day I was sitting at that desk, I was thinking, teaching sure was more fun than programming lumber mills. So now I teach, and I'm very glad to be back, actually. I genuinely really like being here, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. Again, please ask any science or sci-fi questions you have. I watch a lot of movies, and even if I haven't seen whatever you're talking about, I probably know enough to say something about it. I watched far too much Star Wars to be able to tell you how lightsabers work, and I didn't grow up in a Trek household, but I can at least comment on most of the things in there too. And anything else that pops into your head, whether it's fiction or not. I like those questions. I find that they're not even very distracting from the main lesson, because I can still make them, I can tie them in somehow. Another thing about me, I'm going to ask if you guys have questions pretty much all the time. Basically, if I ever stop a sentence and I pause, I'm either going to do one of two things: take a drink of water, or ask if you have any questions. Probably both. So if that gets annoying, I'm sorry, but it's how I make sure and remind you guys, please ask them. Also, I talk a lot, so I get thirsty. Stay hydrated. Also, I do impressions in case a weird voice that isn't my normal one happens to slip out. Now, everyone's favorite part, to try to minimize paper being handed between humans as much as possible these days. The syllabus is currently digital only, but it is on the Brightspace page. It is available for everyone. We're also going to look at it now so that you can get the pertinent details from it. Excuse me. So, if you have your laptop with you, I encourage you to make sure you can access this now. If you don't have it with you right now, that is okay. Just make sure you can access this. We've been using Brightspace at the school for going on a year now. I think we started summer of 2020. And all of you should already be enrolled in the Brightspace page for this class. There is a slight glitch in that, because I have two different lectures for this class, the school auto-generated two different Brightspace classrooms for it. I have tried to force the computer to combine them both into one, because it's the same class and everyone's learning the same things. But if you accidentally got sent into the wrong one, or one that doesn't really exist and is blank, please let me know and I will get that fixed promptly. The Brightspace page should say Hofbauer, Physics, Special Topics, Spring 21. If it, well, I think this is one of the inactive ones. If it specifies G or F, then that's not the one I'm using, because I want to upload things once and then both sections see it. So even though this is the F of the G class. I can never read this. This is F. Okay. So if you're in one that specifies, then look for the one that doesn't specify, because that's the one I'm going to be posting to most directly. If you go there, we've got course info. Under the course info tab, we have several documents, syllabus, which we'll look at in a second, and this useful sheet of math information, which we will start going over. You will have access to this at all times. Any formula sheets or sheets like this, you personally have access to. This is yours to keep and do with as you need. And syllabus itself. Pertinent information up here at the top. my name, office location, etc. One minor detail that I feel the need to point out every time I start a new class. It's not a huge deal, I just want to make sure that I'm not accidentally propagating false information. I don't have my doctorate yet. Some students who haven't met me yet and don't know that will just by default email me saying Dr. Hoffbauer, and I don't blame them for that. I'm probably one of the few professors here who doesn't. But I don't technically have one, and I don't want to accidentally trick people into thinking that I do. So that's the disclaimer. Don't call me Dr. Hoffbauer, just on the grounds that it's not true. Most of my students end up calling me Prof. Hoff, but any variation of Professor and Mr. or some part of my last name is fine. I used to teach high school. They came up with a lot of very interesting permutations of my name. So as long as it's somewhat recognizable, I will probably answer to it. We have my office number, Richardson 103B. If I'm on campus, I'm either in this room, my lab room, or my office. So you can come find me on this floor probably. To get to this office, because it's not on the main hallway, if you go out this door and left and then right, like you're going out that middle door towards the green, the one that just faces directly this way, if you, instead of going through that door, you instead turn right, there's a little alcove with a desk and a fridge and 3 small offices in there. When I was a student, I never actually noticed it was there, and now it's my office. Of the 3 offices in there, mine is 103B. It does have my name on it, so it will be obvious which one is mine. You can find me there to ask your questions at absolutely any time. If I am not in that office, there's a sign on my door that will tell you if I will be back soon or if I've gone home for the night. If I have gone home, please email me and we'll get back to you very quickly. But I have a whiteboard in there, and there's a whiteboard in the little common space attached to my office. So we can work on things together, you can ask your questions. And because this room gets used by a couple of different classes, so we can work there if there's something going on here. My email address is my first initial, my middle initial, and then most of my last name. So jahoffbau@presby.edu. And the website link listed there is the YouTube channel where I upload the recordings of all the lectures. So that if you end up missing a day, for whatever reason, you are allowed to, and if you just want to refer back to something, if you feel the need to listen to it again, all of those recordings, I record them all, the camera's back there, you probably saw it, will be listed there. And just to show you what you're looking for, it's not a very interesting channel, it's just my professor account. It's just Prof. Physics, and the lectures are all titled based on the course section and the date it was recorded. So if you guys will be interested in Physics 2000, you can watch any of the lectures later with that. All of my lectures go on this one channel. You only care about the ones for this class. You don't have to worry about these unless you, for some reason you want to listen to 1,500 lectures ahead of time. They're there, but you do not have to at all. Class schedule, grading system, and a grading rubric for the class itself. This class is primarily going to be us talking about the math that informs the physics, practicing it in here, and then you guys working on those practice assignments by yourselves over the weekend. So that means there's only 3 classifications of things going on in this course. It's not a lab course, we're just meeting for 2 hours, so There's one category for your combined class and homework assignments that makes up 30% of your grade, which means hypothetically, if you did none of them, you could still pass this class. They are low stakes practice, but please do them. It will help you. And we say that to mean that if you get something wrong, I promise you'll be fine. There's going to be 2 tests that cumulatively make up 40% of your grade. That means each test is about 20%, which means that if for some reason, and this will never happen to you, but if it did, if you somehow got 50s on both tests, you could still get a B in the class. I only point this out because a lot of people will scramble to ask me what their grades are, and people think that if they bomb one homework assignment, then that's it for them. I promise you it's not. It is very, very hard to fail a class outright, especially in here when I grade for functional credit, and the whole point is practice anyway. So I'm telling you this to ensure you not to worry, okay? You're all going to be fine. I'm going to help you through it. That's our jobs. Lastly, we have the one exam at the end of the semester. That would be 30% of the grade. And those are really the only 3 categories. No quizzes and no labs. Which means, generally speaking, what the class will look like each week is on Wednesdays, I'll collect the homework assignment from over the weekend. You can ask any final questions you have about it, and we will begin learning what is our next objective for that week. On Wednesday, I'll try to give you your assignment for that week. Friday, when we meet, we will go over that assignment together. Wednesdays are mostly going to be learning. Fridays are going to be doing the home/class work together as a group. Again, this is low stakes practice to get you ready for other courses. So Wednesday learning, Friday work, and whatever you don't finish working together on Friday, finish up over the weekend by Wednesday. And we'll grade it. You'll know what you will know what your grades are, and that'll be the sort of week-to-week schedule. Eventually, we will have tests. We are slated to have 2 of them during the semester, and as soon as I schedule the dates for that, I will tell you what they are ahead of time. My goal is to, within the next week or so, know when those tests will be and tell you so that you have that information and can work around it, because some people, so that you know for the sake of accommodations or schedule conflicts. If you can't make a test normally, that is fine. Just please tell me and we'll work it out. Also, if you miss class for whatever reason, that's fine. Just tell me. You're not required to be here every moment of every single day, but you're responsible for whatever you miss. That's the one catch. If you miss something, it's okay. Just make sure you get to it. I'm not going to force you to buy a textbook right now, but if you want to go ahead and buy a physics textbook that you would be using in the 1500 courses, this is it. You don't need it yet, but that's the title and the author and the edition if you want to go ahead and start looking for it. You will need a scientific calculator and internet access to get to the Brightspace page and possibly YouTube page if you need recordings. Now, I've been using the same dinosaur calculator since middle school, so I have a TI-83. You don't necessarily need a Texas Instrument. You don't necessarily need something as big as this, definitely not as old as this. As long as it is a scientific calculator, you will be fine. A scientific calculator doesn't necessarily need to be able to graph things, but it does need to have certain functions built into it, like sine, cosine, tangent, being able to handle exponents and logarithms. So you will need some machine of that description. You will have access to it on all of your work. I'll never say no calculators this time, because I've become hyper-dependent on this thing in the 15 years I've had it. How do you still work? So, if you do not already have one, please source one quickly, all right? Goal, learn physics, learn math, and help you guys apply it to any other science classes that you take, and also to your careers onwards. Class and homework. Again, the classwork and the homework are one document. It's one assignment that we start in here together and we finish over the weekend. So as soon as I give it to you, I encourage you to look at it, look at what types of problems are there, and get started on it. And for all of the class homework assignments, again, it's one combined assignment each week. I encourage you to work together. We're going to start them together in here. We're going to look at the types of questions there, begin working them together on this class on Fridays every week. And then, even after the break, I encourage you to keep working together as you finish it over the weekend. The only thing that where you cannot work with your classmates on is a test. Everything else, please help each other out, because that'll, if one student knows it and another student doesn't know it, one student can help the other, and that'll help both of them understand it better. Because I have found I need to understand something very well to be able to explain it. And forcing myself to explain it helps me learn it. Being a teacher, honestly, has helped me learn physics better than being a student. Just because I have to be able to teach, explain it to people. Well, 2 tests again, and I guess I'm going to call a quick break for just a second, because I ran off your first assignment, except I left it in my office. I'm going to get that and give it to you now so that I can show you what it and subsequently what your test and exam will look like, because they're all going to be formatted very similarly, okay? So, quick break. If you need water or a moment to check your phone notifications, now's a good time. I'll be right back. Continue checking your notes, notifications, and getting water as I hand these out. I'm just going to do it myself so that only the one other person has handled it.
Thank you.
Cool. So, this is the first assignment. In general, we're going to do about one every week, and they'll be due on the next Wednesday. I'm not going to hold you to that this week because we're just getting started. So I'll probably collect this one in 2 weeks, just to give a little bit of a grace period. But this particular document has many different problems that are sorted into slightly different categories based loosely on difficulty and how you need to work them. And the document itself, only 1 page. All the problems are just on the front. Right now, for this first week, we're just looking at numerical math review, how to be able to handle these. So, The formatting on most of the assignments is going to be very similar. The problems will all be listed together, and what you guys will work on and eventually turn in is on your own sheets of paper, working them one at a time, preferably in order, because that helps my grading a lot. Try to stick to that kind of an order, but at the very least, make sure they are all labeled so that if you do need to go out of order, if something gets a little mixed up, that I at least know which one's which. So make sure all of the, as you work them on a blank sheet of paper, you write the problem number, you do your work, and I encourage you to show all of your work, show every single step, because if something goes wrong, that means it's easier for me to see where it happened, and what happened, and give you more partial credit. So, blank sheet, work problem 1. You arrive at your answer, box your answer in, and then you move on to the next one. I am fine with doing the page front and back so that we can save some trees. Just make sure that how you write is legible and clearly indicated which question you're working on and what your answer is. Boxing it, circling it, underlining it. In the math department, they would put like this little symbol next to it, however you want to do it, as long as I can see what the answer is. And if you don't show your work, if you just write a correct answer, as long as the answer is correct, you'll get points. But if I don't know where you got it, it's A, going to look kind of suspicious, and B, if something goes wrong, I can't give you partial credit. If you just put a wrong answer and no work, that's not going to be worth much. So, honestly, the work is worth more than the answer. Starting the question, just writing the question out and then beginning, this is worth most of your points. Always start from here and then work your way down. It helps cut down on mistakes. I used to make tons of mistakes because I would do like 8 steps in my head at once and then write down like, I'd skip like 8 steps at once. There'd be some mistake there in my head that would just make the whole thing terrible. One line at a time, nice and slow. And the more steps you show, the easier it'll be for me to give you that partial credit. Pretty much all the assignments are going to look very similar. You'll just have a number of problems, you work them, and you turn into me the compilation of all of your answers. And that's basically it. The classwork, homework we're going to do together each week. We'll have 2 tests total where you will work on them on your own, and then the 1 exam at the end. Please work together. Even if you are working together, make sure you are understanding the information you're getting from your classmates, because if you just copy an answer down and don't know where it came from, you won't be able to replicate it on the test. So please work together, but make sure you are understanding what you get from each other. Because if you don't, then you'll get a good grade on the homework, but a bad grade on the test, and that's worse. The homework is designed for you to be able to make mistakes there. The last page of the syllabus, the last part of it, is a rough schedule for what we're going to be looking at on a week-by-week basis. This week we're starting with the syllabus. This first week might bleed a little bit into next week, just depending on how long Friday goes, excuse me. But this is a rough outline of what we're going to be doing week by week. And this is by full class week. I don't think there's, did we get spring break on? Okay, oops, sorry, sore subject. But if something forces us to cancel a class for a week, then this schedule will resume the next week. So this is weeks of class, not weeks on the calendar. So we will get through all of these in time for the exam. And that is the entire syllabus, which is on the Brightspace page. So please refer back to it, especially if you need this information at the top. And as the course goes on, I will be adding different categories to this page so that you can find notes and the recorded lectures there. So I'm building the first couple tabs as we speak. For each of the numbered weeks and chapters, I'm going to post the video links here on the chapter tab itself, and I'll add notes under that tab. So you click on this, you can see the links, and there'll be the slideshow notes written under it. So this is a very good resource for you. Any additional documents that I give you will go there. I will probably also be uploading the homework page itself so that you can refer back to it without lose the paper document. And that is most of the ever so fun technical information about this course. I have been talking a lot, and a lot of it has been just everyone's favorite technical information, and also I'm really thirsty. So, any questions at all so far? Okay. Well, we are nearing the end of our official time slot, so I don't want to give you too much to have to worry about just yet, but I do at least want to do one piece of this might be learning, this might be review, depending on your math history. But before we break for today, I want to at least get you started on this. I encourage you to at least begin looking at it. Maybe do the first couple of problems here. Because 1 through 3, there's no letters in them. It's just numbers. You can just find a complete numerical answer. To get you started on that, let's review real quick. The pieces of PEMDAS. Has anyone not seen this acronym before? Okay, good. I would expect you all to have seen it, so I'm not surprised by that. Now, what's the P stand for? Very good. E, M, D, A, S. Okay. Now, one minor detail that is worth remembering. The multiplication and division steps can kind of happen simultaneously because those two operators are just inverses of one another. So if your problem requires you to divide something before you can effectively multiply it, that will be fine. These two can kind of go in any order, and these two can kind of go in any order. So I guess if you wanted to, oops. You could call it that, but PEMDAS rolls off the tongue a little bit better. So, I did say that we are going to work on these together, and in the spirit of that, for review's sake, let's turn our attention to the first question. And it would behoove you to get out a sheet of paper and make it your homework document so that you can have this on the page and not have to look back at it. Let's look at the first question together, because this contains most things except for parentheses. So, to get to our answer, we refer to the order of operations, which is what this is actually called, the order in which we do our math operations. First, check the parentheses. There are none. Step achieved. Step 2, exponents. Which term here is the exponent? Okay, yes, this 7 has the exponent on it. Very good. So I would say that 3 is the exponent applied to 7, but that's just splitting hairs. Very good. Now, what would 7 to the third power be? Very good. I'm suspiciously not very good at mental math, so thank you very much. So, to show what this should look like on your homework page, problem 1, first line. What I recommend doing is going vertically downwards instead of writing an endless stream of equal to, equal to, equal to, equal to. So, 5 plus, can you repeat that number? Thank you very much. Ooh, that's the speed of sound. So, first line, second line. After exponent is the multiplication and division step. There's only one of those types of operators present. And, well, we're multiplying a 7 by this whole thing, which means that effectively we should probably put all of this in a parentheses. Very good. We're multiplying all of this by a 7. We're also dividing all of this by a 7. And those are going to eventually cancel out. So, I've run a little bit out of vertical space here. So I'm going to say that our next line will come up here. I would encourage you to just keep going vertically downwards. The 7s will cancel, which will leave us with 5 plus 3, 4, 3. And last but not least, those should add together to form what? Very good. And that is our final answer. Underline it, box it, dot it, whatever you want. And that is the first question of your math career in this class done. No matter how complicated the problem looks like it's going to be, that's your process. Every question will work some variation similar to that. Taking a glance at the rest of the homework, though, some things will get a little more complicated. The first 3 questions, you just solve for a number. There's nothing suspicious about it. You just use the order of operations to find a number. 4 through 24 are requiring you to do algebra, where you will solve for something by doing the order of operations and sort of disassembling a problem. But that's what we're going to talk about together on Friday. Right now, remember this, begin glancing at the rest of your homework. Just PEMDAS by itself, as long as you understand the order of operations, will help you with 1 through 3 and also 25 through 31. Yes?
The logs, are those like hand done or can we use those on the calculator?
Calculator.
Okay, I was just, please no.
I don't want to do those by hand.
Okay.
Again, I was a math minor. I can't even do mental math or even hand math very quickly without that calculator. I've become very reliant on it, and at this point, it might as well be integrated into my brain. So, on those ones specifically, I'm going to be teaching you how to disassemble them, and then you'll have what you need to put into your calculator. Because the log questions, which are 21 to 24 on this assignment, and even though they all look a little bit different, they are all logarithm-based questions, even if they don't have log written in them. The goal of all 4 of the ones on this assignment is to get x equals blank. And that's going to involve doing different algebra in specific ways to basically rip the x out of wherever it is and find what it's equal to. On Friday, we will definitely be doing algebra review for things like 4 through 20, and time permitting, we will also start on the logarithms together so that you're set to work over the weekend. Any questions before we break for today? Okay. Begin working on this. The sooner you start it, the easier it'll be to continue, and the sooner you'll be done with it. In general, they'll be due once per week, but just because it's the first one, this isn't going to be due yet. I just wanted to get it in your hands so that you can start it and get your heads around soon. Please let me know if you have any questions about the class itself or the assignments or anything at all, really. And I will see you all Friday. Please have a wonderful day. Stay inconvenienced by the weather and stay healthy. Good day. Good day. Here for Phys2000?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. I just finished teaching a session, so I'm going to take 10 minutes to have a quick break from my brain, place it down, get comfortable. We will start at the normal class time.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, fun fact, this class currently only has 2 people registered for it. I only say that so that you know that I'm not expecting anyone else to be on.
Okay.
That said, I, just based on the advertised purpose of this course, I assume that you guys are taking this as a precursor to Physics 1500, probably for some other kind of science major. Okay. In that case, I encourage you guys to advertise that this course exists, because a lot of people need the math practice, and a lot of people might not know that this course exists. So, I lose my train of thought a lot. Also, sorry, one sec. I forgot to turn my camera off at my last lecture.